Hi everybody, and welcome to another video in this course on creating genuine and authentic teacher wellbeing in schools. In this video, we are going to explore, first of all, what a toxic school is and the common traits that you might find in a toxic school. And the second thing is how leaders, and whether that be middle leaders, senior leaders, or the head teacher, can challenge a culture that is toxic, toxicity within a culture. Let's look at the factors. There are 9 of them. The first one, no time to eat. And this is where teachers are not even able to stop for their lunch. They are working 6-7 periods a day. They have no time to even pause in a corridor for a conversation. They are rushed off their feet. Every second of every day is tied up. They're even struggling to go to the toilet. This is a toxic school. Second one, no empathy, where middle leaders, senior leaders, head teachers are having difficult or challenging conversations with staff, and the members of staff who are participating in those conversations don't feel any level of understanding, don't feel any feeling from any leader within the organisation, where they can say, this person understands me and what I'm going through and this issue that we're discussing. And that's not to say that difficult conversations don't have to happen, because they do. And difficult conversations are difficult conversations. But when there is no empathy, when there is no feeling, and when there is no emotional intelligence being demonstrated, that's where we have a problem. The third one, backstabbing and bullying. And this can take many, many forms. But bullying is continued and consistent targeting of a particular member of staff or individual. Now that could be for any particular reason, but often it can lead to a member of staff either burning out, leaving the school, quitting the organisation, etc., etc. And it can take many, many forms, which we'll come into later on. The fourth one, weekends spent worrying and working. This is so common for teachers to be working 70, 80, 90 hours a week. And one day a weekend can often be just taken up with work. A lot of it might not actually have an impact on student progress or attainment. A lot of it might just be stuff that teachers are being asked to do that has no relevance. And we're going to look again later on, when we look at the solutions to these problems, about being evidence informed, being research informed. So at least we have this basis where we can say this is why we're doing this. But a lot of teachers might spend a whole weekend worrying, not just working, but worrying, feeling that something bad's going to happen on Monday, first thing on Monday, and dreading it on Sunday night. And I mean dreading it to the point they might be trawling message boards about how to quit the profession. Now, not all schools are like that. They're not. Number 5, stressed children and adults. Where the adults in the building are stressed, the children will become stressed, because unhappy adults, stressed adults are going to project that onto those children into the classrooms, and suddenly the children are then becoming stressed. The children are becoming more worried about what they're doing. And that can often translate into exam stress for the students, because the teachers are constantly talking about exam results, because those exam results will link to their own performance-related pay. And suddenly that whole culture becomes an exam factory, as we might call it, and the children are the ones who are going to experience a lot of stress on the back of that, as well as the adults. The 6th one, all accountability on the teachers. I've just alluded to this idea that teachers are wholly accountable for student results. It's very, very damaging. It puts a lot of pressure on the teachers to perform every single day and for every single lesson to be perfect. That's not teaching. 7th, constant checking. This idea that middle leaders, senior leaders, head teacher are going to be constantly in classrooms, not to look at the learning and not to look at teacher development, but to check, to scrutinise, to pick apart things, to find weaknesses. It's this negative, not positive checking all the time. Now, of course, every school is going to have minimum operating standards that teachers and students and staff need to adhere to, so everybody is safe in the building, so things work in the building. But there is a big difference between that and something where learning walks, lesson observations, work scrutinies, and all these other accountability tools are being used excessively, where you might have, I've heard of schools where they might have a learning walk every week or twice a week, where you're being graded and scrutinised more than twice a week. It puts a huge amount of pressure on teachers and teaching professionals. Number 8, This idea, these buzzwords, these high frequency words that are being used, we need to raise standards. There are no excuses for students to underachieve. There are no excuses. But sometimes there might be a reason, not an excuse. But in a toxic school, the two of those might be one and the same. Reason, excuse. Reason, excuse. They're the same thing. But that's just not true, because there are reasons and there are excuses, and these are two separate things. In a toxic school, they're the same thing. Number 9, fear of speaking out. In other professions, whether it be doctors, the police, whistleblowing is positively encouraged. Whistleblowers are an important part of the functionality of the profession within those professions. But in teaching, whistleblowing comes with huge costs. It might be that you lose your reference. It might be that you are castigated within the school and excluded. It could mean any number of things. It could mean difficulty with colleagues in the school, problems with other colleagues because you've whistleblown. Whistleblowers in teaching are not only not encouraged, but they're not protected either. So in a toxic school, there will be a real innate fear of speaking out. And when I say speaking out, I mean giving feedback. I mean saying, look, this is a problem. This is what we could do to solve it. That might be seen as a criticism. That might be seen as an attack on the organisation or the school, when it's not. It's just a professional being a professional. If you put all of these together into a melting pot, you have what I would call a toxic school environment. Now, it might be that you're a leader who works in one of these environments now, and you might be thinking, how can I change this now, tomorrow, next week? Or it might be that you're a leader who's just arrived into an organisation and you want to find out whether the organisation is like this. So this might just give you an idea, a few ideas of checkpoints or signs that you could look out for in that opening 90 days in the organisation to find out, is it toxic? In the next part of the video, we're going to look at what we can do about it.